Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending our webinar. Today, we will be talking about budgeting for a secure future. This is part two of our three-part series. And I just want to start off by first acknowledging that I am not a financial consultant. This is information based off my own personal experience and research. So the things that we'll be talking about today is defining what budgeting is, debunking some myths. We're talking about net versus income, types of expenses, common budgeting techniques, tricks and tips, as well as we'll be answering a few questions. Please feel free to ask your questions throughout the whole presentation, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. And if not, you all at the end, you all can send any questions to the email that's listed at the end. Awesome, let's get started. So, what is budgeting and why is it important? Budgeting by Merriam Webster is a plan for the amount of money that is available for, required for, or assigned to a particular purpose. A budget is tailored to your life as opposed to your life tailored around a budget, which can help make conscious spending and dig out of debt, as well as build sustainable wealth. Budgeting gives control and reduces stress. It helps reach financial goals, whether that be savings, debt payoff, or vacations. And it prevents overspending and living paycheck to paycheck. So, what are some myths? Some common myths that I hear is I don't make enough for budgeting. Budgeting means I can't have any fun, it's too complicated, or I have too many expenses, unexpected expenses at that. A budget lets you decide ahead of time what you want to do with your money instead of spending randomly in ways that undermine your plans. Budgeting works at any income level and it actually gives you the freedom that you are searching for. So, a powerful quote that I have come upon from Dave Ramsey is a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. So, meet Robin. She is a 23-year-old woman. She's a single mom with two kids. She makes, without taxes taken out, 48K a year. And so she needs help with her low income budget. So yeah, when we're going through examples during this presentation, I will be using her for an example. So first, let's discuss what net versus gross income is. Gross income is the total amount of money an employee earns before payroll deducts things such as taxes and withholdings. Gross income is a reflection of what an employer owes based on the agreed upon wage and or salary. Now your net income is the actual amount that you take home after all tax deductions, health insurance premiums, and other withholdings are removed from your gross pay. According to Indeed, the money deposited into the bank account of the value of your paycheck is what is considered the net income. So, why is knowing this important? Well, it one allows you to set a realistic budget. If you budget using your gross pay, you'll overestimate what you're actually spending. So, use your net pay to make sure your bills, goals, and spending plans are accurate. Two, it helps you understand deductions. Knowing what's taken out of your taxes, Social Security, 401k, health insurance ask will help you to ask questions about your benefits, maybe plan for things like healthcare or retirement contributions. And another thing that knowing this information is important is it helps you plan financial goals. So you want to save $500 a month, you need to know if that's possible after your net pay hits your account. And lastly, just to throw it in there, knowing this will help you negotiate your job offers. A salary might sound great on paper, but always ask, what's the estimated take home after taxes and benefits? It helps compare offers more fairly. So let's get into our expensive. We have two different expenses. One is fixed and one is variable. A fixed expense are costs that does not change from month to month. So some examples would be rent and mortgage, insurance premium, car payments, maybe some subscription services such as like Hulu or Netflix, some some student loan payments, and more. Now, the variable expenses are costs that can change each month depending on the usage or consumption. Some of this could be your groceries, gas, electricity, maybe dining out, personal care, clothing, or other forms of entertainment. So, what are some common budget techniques? These are four that I have attempted to try and found out how to use in my own plan. So, we have the pay yourself first, the 50-20-30, the 80-20 method, and the envelope system method. So, pay yourself first. What does that mean? As you pay yourself first, it is a personal financial strategy where you prioritize savings by setting aside a portion of your income before paying other expenses or making discretionary purchases. It's especially It's essentially a reverse budget approach where savings becomes your first bill each month. Pros: it encourages consistent savings, it builds emergency funds faster, as well as makes savings a priority instead of an afterthought. Now, some cons associated with your pay yourself first method is it may not leave enough for essentials if income is low, or it also requires discipline to avoid spending later. Now, this is an approach that I personally use, and how I use this approach is every hour that I work, the first hour goes towards my savings. So let's use Robin for an example. Robin makes again 48K a year. So we can translate this to about $23.44 an hour. So every day that she works, the first hour will go to her. So if she's working 5 days a week, the first hour is $32.44. So that would be $117.2 per week, or $468.08 per month, or $5,625.06 a year. Now, the 50-30-20 budget method, basically 50% of your needs, 50% of your income, your net income will go to your needs, 30% of your net income will go to your wants, and 20% of your net income will go to your savings. And most needs will be fixed expensive and most variable expenses. Now, some wants could be, subscriptions, travel, or personal care. And you can put your savings in emergency funds, retirement accounts, or high yield saving accounts. So, pros and cons. Some pros are it's an easy framework for beginners. If you're new to the whole budgeting and don't know where to start, this is a great beginner. It helps balance lifestyle responsibilities, and it encourages both savings and enjoying your money. Now, some cons. It's not always realistic for low income earners, but that's not to be discouraged because you can tailor it to your own personal needs. Your wants category can become a trap if you're not monitoring it. And some costs, like childcare, might not fit neatly into the 50%, but again, that's when you'll tailor it to yourself. So, an example of this, going back to Robin, let's say Robin's net income after taxes is 41K a year, sorry. So we'll translate that to $3,460 a month. So that means 17K will go to her needs, 1K will go to her wants, and 600, almost $700 will go to her savings. That's how we would break that down, and that would equal 3460. So the next budget technique is the 80/20 budgeting. With the 80/20 budgeting method, you could put 20% of your take home, so your net income pay, into your savings, while the remainder 80% is used for spending of any sort. For this budgeting method, consider establishing automatic withdrawals from your checkings account. So some pros are it's super simple and flexible. It's great for those who are not confident with their budgeting, um, or don't feel like they have time to track each category. And it encourages savings without being too vigorous. Now, some cons is it doesn't address overspending habits if you find yourself spending more than you should. Unfortunately, this technique will not be helpful to address those habits. It's no detailed breakdown of expenses, so it's easy to lose track of where the money can go. And it might not push enough savings for aggressive goals if you have some. So an example of this would be going back to Robin, where her savings is $692. $692 will go straight to her savings in whichever form she wants, whether it's emergency, high yield saving, or a combination of all. And then the rest will be used for her other expenses. So that would be her needs and her wants. So the next and the last budgeting technique that I will like to share with you all is the envelope system method. This is a budgeting strategy that allows you to portion out your monthly earnings physically toward different spending categories. So this is the great method for those who are like physical learners. This involves taking some envelopes and labeling them. Each envelope with a specific expense category like rent, groceries, loans, etc. You can then put the cash into the envelope and spend it as such. So, this budgeting method helps you prevent overspending in any particular category. If you overspend, it may be necessary to relocate the money you've set aside for another envelope. For example, if you go grocery shopping, you could take cash from the designated grocery envelope and use the amount that you've budgeted for. Some pros and cons. Pros is it helps with overspending. This is the best method that helps with overspending. It's great for visual learners or people who prefer to use cash, and it brings awareness to where your money is going. Now, some cons are it's not particularly for online or digital spending. So, for my people who do a lot of online shopping, like myself, this may be a little tricky. And sometimes carrying cash can be inconvenient or risky, and it requires a lot of discipline and planning. So, some tricks and tips. I suggest that you review your budget weekly, especially while you're starting out, to see okay, where is the money going? Am I spending more on my groceries than I expected? Um, Another thing that I would do is plan for irregular expenses. Maybe a hospital visit unexpectedly, or your tires. If you drive, your tires go flat. Just prepare and plan for those type of expenses. So if that's setting a little extra money to the side in your spendings, I would suggest that. I love challenges. So I would encourage a no spend challenge week. So basically, what that would look like is if you find yourself going to Starbucks, for example, and getting a frappuccino 3 times a week, I would suggest limiting that, not sacrificing your frappuccinos, and seeing how much that could save you. I would suggest doing it for at least a month. But you could tailor it to whatever. And then challenges to me kind of pushes you. It tells you like, okay, yeah, I don't actually need this, or maybe I can limit it. Another thing that I would suggest doing is setting up auto payments. I know that some companies give you a certain amount of money off, so that can also help limit your expenses. Another thing I would suggest is planning your meals ahead of time. I know that I struggle with going to the grocery store, and if something catches my eye, I have to get it. So plan your meals beforehand in your grocery list. I would also suggest shopping for gently used items. Not everything has to be brand new. Also, think before you make big purchases. For any big purchase, I suggest waiting at least a month before you decide that you want it, because sometimes for me at least, I do a lot of thinking before I do a lot of doing before I think. So if it's a big purchase, I'll sit on it for about a month, and if I still want it, then I'll go ahead and go use it. Next, I would start using coupons. I am a sucker for coupons, whether it be something as little as 10% off. It just makes me a little comfortable just knowing, okay, well, I saved 10%, 20%. And I would start now. Don't keep dragging it along. Start budgeting now so that you can set up your financial freedom. All the systems that I have shared, you can tailor it to what you're working with now. It's not a one size fit all. So please, just tailor it how you need to. And that is it for me. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in a chat, or you can send us an email. Um, and I'll just wait a minute or two to see if there's any questions that anyone might have. In the description box, there is a budget template that you can go ahead and download and kind of track to try to track your budgeting. And you can scan right here. There's also a link in the description code as well. But if you scan this QR code, it will take you to a form that we are asking you to fill out, just to get some insight on if this was helpful and what else you all would like to see or hear. And I just want to say thank you again for joining our webinar. We do have our part 3 coming next month. I mean, next week, I'm sorry, next Monday. And it will be all about savings. If you have any questions or have any suggestions, please feel free to contact us or through phone, email, or our DMs on Instagram. And if there is nothing else, I again would like to say thank you all for participating and coming to our webinar. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye bye for now.